Hi everyone, Nicole here with Edge of Wild. Today I'm going to start some of my early seeds. I sat down, made a list the other day. This is probably the most trays of seeds I'm going to start at one time, just because I have so many varieties of Snapdragons to get started. I'm starting them with the plans of putting them out in 8 weeks, so very end of April, beginning of May, as long as the temperatures agree to that. We'll see. So I'm starting Snapdragons, Sweet Williams, Delphiniums, and then I have to get my Brussel seeds and celery seeds because those take a long time to grow, so I'm going to start them now. Actually, Brussels are like, I want to say they're like 120 days to maturity, so definitely need to get those going because I only have 120 days in my growing season, honestly, up here, and that's if we're lucky. So things that I have, I use Jiffy's seed starting mix. I have some left over from last year. Well, it's still got a little bit of moisture in it. Okay, I was worried it was going to be hydrophobic, which is where like the soil dries out so much that all the bacteria in it dies, and then it won't absorb water. But I must have had enough water in it last year to stay happy. So I got water, warm water, because you don't want to be doing this with cold water because then it's just really cold on your hands. Got my seeds. I have seed starting trays. So I use the 70 cell count trays. Just what works best for me. And then I have watertight, that's the word I'm looking for. Watertight trays to put those in. And my humidity domes are over by the light system. I'll throw in a clip of me putting together the new light system that I have, and then I'll kind of show you how I have everything set up over there once I have these put together. Process is pretty simple. I take a bag of soil, scissors, because gotta be able to open the bag. Open my bag, pour it in. Now I like the seed starting mix because it seems to have the least amount of like sticks and stuff in it. So it makes a really good seed bed for a seed. That said, it does not really have any nutrients in it. And I think it's very heavy in peat, honestly, if I were to do research on it. So it's not necessarily the best for the environment, but because I do everything on such a big scale, this is kind of what, big scale, but small scale, this is kind of what just works best for me. I've really wanted to try out the Vermont compost that Nicole at Flower Hill Farm uses, but I haven't bit the bullet for that. I think if I were to do that, I would have to try soil blocking, and I'm just not there yet on doing that. Though with starting the amount of seeds that I'm starting, I'm like, I really could fit a whole bunch more in one space. But the nice thing about the cells is if I'm gone for a weekend, like 2 days, it's okay. I don't need to worry about water, whereas with the soil blocks, I think you have to water them every single day. So it's a lot more labor intensive. And I don't think that I necessarily, between my family and traveling around and things like that, have the time that can commit to what a soil block needs. So not sure if I'm going to go down that path yet, but put my soil in. Let me grab my water. Got my bucket of water here. Roll up my sleeves because we don't need those involved. And then I just mix it in real good. I'll probably have to add more water. So because this doesn't have a lot of organic matter or nutrients in it, I'll let the seed get germinated, and then I start pretty quickly with a organic fertilizer, just weekly. usually for started plants. Now this one really is for like seeds starting, so it's not as strong as like a full strength fertilizer, because if you were to use that, you're going to burn your plants and they're not going to grow well. I've had good luck with it. Everybody kind of has their own system and setup, and you have to find what works for you. So, but this is what works for me. So I get this worked around nice and good. I can squeeze it. It's going to hold its shape roughly. Could use probably a little bit more water, but I can't, I have to really squeeze to squeeze water out of it. I like to do everything in this great big plastic tote, and then I actually save my soil year to year, whatever's left over. I want to say, because I haven't filled a thing yet, I want to say I can get a tray and a half or 2 trays out of a bag of soil. Something like that. Maybe it's 2 and a half. I guess we'll find out. So today I'm starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different varieties of Snapdragons. 2 different varieties of Delphiniums. Sweet Williams, and then like I said, my vegetable seeds. So I have like 9 trays to start. So like this is a little bit wet, but I actually don't mind. I don't mind that too much. Like I said, it'll get mixed in here. There's still a little bit of dry stuff in this corner. So what I find easiest, I fill this up. Move my soil to one end. Grab my cell tray. And I think I've ripped them in half before, like done 6 and 6, but you get more space as you go. I put my cell tray down in here, like that. Then I'm able to pick up dirt and just kind of work it in. I have found that I have to pack my soil in a little bit more than just like setting it in and leveling off the top. You don't want to super compact it, but there's a lot of airspace if you don't push it down and really work it into the cells. And the big thing is then you don't have as much, when you go to pull the seeds out, there's just not as much dirt there to kind of hold the plant together, and they fall apart. And then anything that doesn't like their roots messed with, that can get way more worked up over the fact that it got pulled out of its little cell happy home. So I don't push it down super hard, but I definitely work it in well to all of the spots. I do like it to have a little bit of a divot to it because it's a little easier to plant the seed then. I know the seed's gonna stay down in the cell. See if I can get this way flatter. And these seed trays, you can get them really at any big box store. I got all these off of Greenhouse Mega Store. Because my ones that I have had, you know, I had to be very gentle with them because they're pretty thin. These aren't too super thick. So they'll probably last a couple of seasons. Those ones had lasted 4 seasons? 4 seasons, and I still have quite a few of them. They are in a little bit of rough shape. Some of them are kind of ripping at some edges. Like, they're still usable, but they're not great. I needed more. I was starting more seeds anyways this year, but they definitely were starting to show their wear on those. But that's just, like I said, what I like to use. I don't know if I would invest in more or more heavy duty ones at this point, or if I would really take the time to analyze if I could do soil blocks. So now I'm going to take one of my trays that I can put everything in. These little 6-packs are kind of coming apart. That's pretty normal. Then I will put them down into their little home. So then this one's all ready to plant. And then usually what I do, because washing your hands a million times is terrible. Terrible in the fact that I have to get up and wash my hand a million times. I will do all the trays that I can need or think I need. I'll get as many of those done as possible. And then I will wash my hands and worry about planting seeds. Because I find it a lot easier to kind of assembly line, make all the things, and then move on to the next step. Because you don't want wet, dirty hands while you're trying to do seeds, especially Snapdragons, because they tiny. So I'm going to work on getting all these put together, and I'll talk to you at the next step. So I have all 9 trays put together. Works out to like roughly 2 trays per bag, because I went through, there was like a half bag in there. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags. So I went through 5 bags. I have 9 trays. There's roughly half a bag in there. And I only used like a quarter of the 5th bag. So really it was like just shy of 5 bags to make 9. Which would work out to, if there was 10 used, rest of the, yeah, about 2 per bag. So I don't put, reason you don't see me put this tray in and I just put the little inserts in, because then all the dirt is contained and the bottom of these are clean-ish. I washed my hands, went and got the rest of the stuff I need. So I have painter's tape. I need to find my Sharpies. Where did I put them? I swear I just smelled them. Pause. So I have my Delphinium seeds here. I'm going to make my label. Says that the germination on this, when they germ tested them, was 84%, and then these cherry bells was 66%. So I'm probably going to sow 2 to a cell. I actually probably will use a little bit less trays, and if that's the case, it's fine. I'll just stick a humanity dome on the other tray so that it doesn't dry out in a week while I'm waiting for my next stuff to plant. But first things first, labels. So, and I don't usually write out the whole thing. I write out enough for you to know what it is and then what the variety is. So we're just gonna put sky blue. And then today is 3/11. So put that on there for a date. Since I already have the marker out, I can write the delphiniums, and this one is the cherry. 3/11. So I have those all ready to go for when I am done. I chose to start with Delphinium largely because they are a larger seed. So Snapdragons are tiny seeds. I looked at the Sweet Williams. Those are tiny seeds. Pull them out of the corners. So these are the seeds. If I can get it to focus. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them not totally opposite end corners, but opposite edges. Doesn't say. It says cover lightly. So always good to check on the seed packets and make sure if they need to be covered. Since I'm going to cover them lightly with the vermiculite, I will put a little bit of dirt on top of this when I'm done, but really I'll let the vermiculite be the cover. So I'll pat these down in. Seeds. As you can see, a lot smaller. So I decided, because the germination on the Delphinium cherries was so low, I was just going to sprinkle a couple, the 10-ish extra seeds, and there'd be a couple in here with 3 for a possibility of germination. And then I'm going to put my Sweet Williams here in this tray. There's only 25 seeds, so there's 12 places. One of them should end up with an extra seed in theory. So gonna get these planted now. These don't need to be covered. You just kind of press them into the medium, so like I said, they'll get the vermiculite on top of them, but that's about it. I kind of like to pat my soil down before I put the seeds in it, mostly so that the seed, like when I'm packing later, the seeds don't necessarily stick to my hand. Make sure my finger is nice and dry so it comes back off my finger. There's that. So then this tray is all planted. I like to plant the whole tray so that when we, again, dealing with dirt and dirty hands once. So now I will add in a little bit of soil, mostly just on the Delphiniums. Cover them with vermiculite. And then we should be done with this tray. Vermiculite looks like in the bag. Take some of this, and like I said, very lightly sprinkle it on. Go. Then, voila, I have my tray all labeled, ready to go. We'll put it under the humidity dome, and then it's on to Snapdragons. Okay, Snapdragons. So I'm starting with the berry blend. I think I'm supposed to have 250 seeds. They're all in this tiny little packet. You see them in that corner. Snapdragons are time consuming because they're tiny. Serena over at You Can't Eat the Grass, she just kind of like sews them in a channel tray and then pulls out the baby starts and then puts those into plugs. I can't blame her. That would be way faster. I don't love planting Snapdragons. I think I'm going to get a toothpick out. Sometimes that helps make it easier. Snapdragons are not fun. More or less, I'm going to do the same thing I did. It's just going to probably take longer. Germ test on this one was 91%, so I'll just do one per cell. Maybe two per cell. We'll see. As we go, because I kind of want 2 trays. Might do 2 per cell. Might just do a tray to start. And then move plugs around when they're little. Because that actually, I did a lot of that last year, and actually that's pretty easy. It's totally worth doing. But I'm going to get these started. here are the seed starting trays. So these are over in the corner in the basement. I have storage for seed starting mix, the vermiculite up there. These ones that have the humidity domes on them are the trays that I started today. And then I have 4 extra trays from stuff I didn't manage to get started, or didn't start, because I didn't actually need. I will need the room in those trays. I just don't need them today, because what I'm doing for planting, at least for the Snapdragons, I'm going to pull out any of the extra seeds that germinate so that I get the amount of plants that I want. What was it? The Snowflake, Apple Blossom, and Rose are all from Eden Brothers, and they send like 1,000 seeds in a pack. So I just kind of sowed those really heavy. I don't need a ton of plants for them, and I'll separate those out. And then I do have, I think it's this tray that I started, a couple of leftover yarrow, a couple leftover sea holly, and there's actually 4 6-packs in there that are left empty. I'll just move Snapdragons into those as well. And then I did start, this one looks empty, but there's vegetables back there. So now that I have everything set up here, I have my timer plugged in up there. I'll turn the power strip back on. You can't see anything with the lights on. They're just shop lights, but that's what they'll sit under. I will bottom water all the trays. As soon as I start to see growth out of everything, I will take my humidity domes off. My house does not get humid enough to just take the domes off, so I actually have to like prop them open and let them slowly get used to the fact that the air is a lot drier than it is outside the humidity domes. I have to actually wait a little bit longer than most people, because I've found if I just take them off, they will dry up in 2 hours and be a crisp. So it's kind of learning what works best, but that's what works best for me. So we'll see how everything goes. The majority of everything I started is Snapdragons, and I will bring you along for separating all of those out. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time.